Good afternoon, boys and girls. Today's words are Lorcana, resellers, arbitrage, and scalper. Most stores got their allocation for the new TCG from Ravensburger called Lorcana, based on Disney. This game was announced back in August of 2022, with the very first batch of promo cards being available in September at the D23 Expo in Anaheim, California. Those promos quickly rose in value. In this video, we're going to talk about the practice of buying an item with the knowledge that you can resell it somewhere else at a higher price and thus make a profit for your efforts. In economics, we call this arbitrage. In the game industry, the derogatory term for this practice is scalper. Stick around. Welcome back to this episode of the Game Industry Rundown. My name is Mark. I've owned a game store for 27 plus years. In this industry, there is much debate about price, MSRP versus market price versus scalper price. MSRP stands for Manufacturer Suggested Retail Price. This is just what it says. It's the price that the manufacturer suggests the product is worth. Game stores buy most of their products through distribution or from the manufacturer based on some wholesale percentage off of the suggested retail price. MSRP is an industry term that means different things for different people. In some cases, MSRP represents the highest price somebody should pay for an item. In other situations, MSRP represents the price that you're hoping to find the product for. We're going to get into this a little deeper. Market price has several different definitions depending on where you look. But for the purpose of our discussion today, we'll just say that market price is the price of an item that is traded or sold between a willing seller and a willing buyer. Now, we should qualify that a little bit. Somebody who posts in a Facebook group, I have this XYZ product and I'm willing to sell it for $1 million. If the product is only worth $10, that's not really a willing seller. That's somebody who might be fishing. In this day and age, everything is for sale if the price is right. I mean, if somebody would come in and offer me $20 million for my store, you would never see me again. I'll be on a beach, sipping Mai Tais, living my best life. But I'm not really trying to sell my store, so I'm not a willing seller at this time. Willing buyer means somebody who is actively trying to buy the product. You know, there's a whole slew of people out there who, again, if the price now is low enough, they would buy it just because they know they can resell it somewhere else at a higher price. That's not really a willing buyer for the purposes of market price. Market price in our industry is the direct result of the economic concept of supply and demand doing its work. When publishers set an MSRP, their ultimate goal is to make sure that the product is worth that. However, the market will decide. They call this the invisible hand. The invisible hand of the market pushes prices around. When supply is low and demand is high, prices go up. When supply is high and demand is low, prices go down. Simple economic concept. Scalper price is a term that we use in this industry to shame people for reselling a product when the market price is significantly higher than MSRP. Where do we draw the line between market price and scalper price? Frankly, the general public, they don't care when the market price is below MSRP because competition is good, keeps prices fair for consumers. For customers in the general public, it's their right to spend their money wherever they choose and however they choose. Competition keeps prices low. That's a basic economic concept. So when we look at marketplaces like TCG Player, that is the ultimate competition by price. Some people in the industry will refer to that as the race to the bottom, which that is yet another term that's meant to be derogatory for people who are competing on price alone. When sellers put items up for sale on TCG Player, once you get past, a certain number of feedback and no incredibly bad negative reviews, the only real competition is price. If I went to TCG Player to buy something and say a booster box of cards, and there were 100 listings and 99 of them were sellers who had decent feedback and a decent number of sales and looked like they were an active real store, and then there was one store who had zero feedback, just newly created, and the zero feedback guy was $20 less than everybody else, I would probably not buy from that zero feedback store. I mean, you're taking a chance there. There's an element of risk if you bought that. Now, TCG Player will ultimately make that right if something goes wrong, but from a market perception point of view, we just don't trust the new zero feedback store. So we go on to the first lowest price that we do trust. The market price is what it is. When the market price is below MSRP, general public is happy. They're getting a deal. The people who are selling that product are making less money, but the business's problems are not really the customer's responsibility. When we open a store, it's fully on us to make it work. Nobody owes us anything. Customers aren't required to spend money at our store. We do what we can to try to entice them, for sure, but nobody owes us anything. When the market price, and this will be a situation where supply is not meeting demand and the market price starts to creep above MSRP, and we're mostly always talking about card games here, collectible card games. Very, very rarely is there board games where the market price goes above MSRP. There might be one or two board games each quarter that sell out quickly and sell for over market price, but for the most part, board gamers are resistant to that practice. They just wait for a reprint or play their friend's copy. Card games, specifically collectible card games, are, I guess by definition, collectible, so the price is going to fluctuate. When the market price starts to drift above MSRP, at some point, and I don't know where the line is, at some point it starts to be referred to as scalper price. And, scalpers, they get a bad rap. All they're really doing is the same thing most everybody else is doing. They're just doing it more or with the intention of reselling. I don't know. Every single player that buys Magic or Pokemon cards does so with at least some knowledge that they'll be able to sell that stuff for some or more than their money back if they ever choose to sell it. You know, kind of by definition, the trading card game business, we're all a bunch of resellers. We buy from one place, sell it somewhere else. Scalper is a term for somebody who is not vested in the game. Maybe they are. But their sole intention is to buy something at MSRP or below and then resell it at a higher price because the current market conditions will support that activity. Arbitrage is the practice of buying and selling between markets where you can buy low in one location or market and then sell for more in another location or market. When you can find situations where doing this yields enough of a return to actually make it worth it, that process is arbitrage. Now, there are a lot of places where this goes on a daily basis. Cryptocurrency. There are people who watch all the different crypto exchanges, and you can buy crypto from one exchange, sell it on another exchange, and make some money. You know, when you're good enough at that and study that stuff enough, you can make a whole bunch of money doing that. In the game industry, the most common example of arbitrage is buying a product from a local store, either a big box store or your friendly local game store at MSRP or below, knowing that you'll be able to sell it on eBay or Amazon at a higher price, and that price is high enough to cover fees and shipping and all that other stuff and still have some money left over for your time. The buying and selling of single cards is basically arbitrage. Stores buy at their buy price. They have set the buy market, and they sell at their sell price, selling at the sell market. That right there is the basic definition of trading between markets and making money doing it. And there's really no limits to this. There are lots of other real-world examples of arbitrage. I mean, I have heard that at one time you could buy jars of peanut butter from Walmart and resell them on Amazon and do so at such a price that you would make money. I don't know if I would ever do that, but I've heard that you can. Trader Joe's has a huge issue with folks reselling their products. Trader Joe's only sells their items in their retail stores. They don't have an online store. They don't ship their products anywhere. And yet Amazon has an entire category dedicated to reselling Trader Joe's products. Trader Joe's specifically frowns on this process. On their website, they actually have language that states if you buy their products online from some other seller, they are unable to support or offer a warranty on those products if you buy them online. Tickets for concerts and sporting events used to be scalped all the time. Reselling a ticket for an event while you are on that event's venue's property used to be a crime. Well, maybe not a crime, but against their policy for sure, enough to get you kicked out if you got caught. Personally, I live in South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame. Years ago, scalping football tickets was big business. There would literally be packs of scalpers standing on the corner at the first stoplight coming off of the toll road exit. They would all have cardboard signs, "Need tickets." These packs of scalpers were attempting to harvest extra tickets from the out-of-towners who were arriving for the game. Ticketmaster finally gave in and installed a reseller system. You can literally buy concert tickets on Ticketmaster's website and immediately put them back up for resale. This practice allows you to potentially make money without ever touching the tickets. Of course, Ticketmaster takes their fees on the resale of the tickets, which is a problem in itself and probably a topic for another video on another channel. So let's circle back around to Lorcana. Ravensburger dropped a bomb earlier this week when stores started to get their allocation for first wave 2-week early release product. And as far as I can tell, most stores that were approved for organized play are getting 24 booster boxes or less for that initial 2-week release period. In various retailer groups, take this with a grain, people may not always tell the truth, but many stores claim to have ordered several hundred boxes only to be cut to 24. This news of such hard allocation sent the price of boxes on TCG Player soaring. Ravensburger followed this with an announcement or clarification that hobby stores, that's stores who were approved into their organized play program, approved OP hobby stores, could only sell Lorcana product in-store, in person, or on the store's own website. They don't want stores selling on third-party platforms such as TCG Player, Amazon, or eBay. This announcement goes on to elaborate that hobby stores who do sell the product on these third-party platforms would be at risk of losing their hobby store status. I don't know of any local store that would risk selling on a third-party platform for this early release. There's just no reason to do it. So that brings us to a situation where we know that TCG Player and eBay are full of seller accounts that are not actually brick-and-mortar retail stores. TCG Player actually has an icon to show you which accounts are friendly local game stores and which accounts are just sellers. There is a verified game store icon on TCG Player. So with the absence of stores selling on these platforms, that's going to leave the only listings by, resellers, scalpers. Which word do we use here? There's going to probably be a market for people to try to buy boxes at local stores and then resell them on these platforms at a higher price. Ravensburger is not going to be able to do anything to Joe, the backpack dealer, who, has a regular full-time job and hustles cards on the side. There's nothing wrong with what Joe is doing. Ravensburger has no control over him. To further cloud the situation, when it comes to collectible things like booster boxes for many card games, a lot of retail stores actually use TCG Player or eBay to kind of get their finger on the pulse of market price for any given item. And now this will create a situation where most of the initial sales are happening somewhere other than that third-party platform. And I think the third-party platform may see inflated prices based on lack of supply going into the third-party platform. This may artificially inflate the market price of Lorcana booster boxes and not show the true market price of a willing seller and a willing buyer, because all of the willing sellers are now only selling through their local store and not on that particular third-party platform. So we remove a bunch of willing sellers from the mix, artificially high price. Lorcana has, I won't use the word scalper because I know that is intended to be derogatory, and I don't mean to be derogatory to anybody. Lorcana has resellers just licking their chops. In various retailer group discussions, there's some pretty detailed discussion about how particular stores are going to handle the sale of this product, whether or not they're going to take steps to prevent resellers from scooping it all up. Instead, the store wants to try to get the product into the hands of actual players as much as possible. These plans range from selling the product at what they perceive as the actual market price, which may be higher than MSRP. If the store sells the product at that higher market price, that eliminates the ability for the reseller to buy it from the store and then resell it. Some stores will no doubt go to lengths to limit product purchases or bundle things together in such a way that makes it less appealing to resellers. I think the best plan that I've heard thus far is to not sell full booster boxes in store, but rather open those booster boxes and bundle some number of packs with a starter deck, and the only way to buy the product is a starter and some number of boosters for a set price. I think the hope there is that for a reseller, the starter deck being in the bundle would be some baggage that makes it less worth it for them to resell, and also the lack of a sealed booster box makes it less appealing for resellers to try to sell. So no doubt, Lorcana is going to be in very short supply when it first comes out. Should you pay the high reseller price? That's really up to you. My opinion is that you probably shouldn't, and here's why. It is my understanding that the product that is going to be released on August 18th in game stores around the country is not special or unique in some way to commemorate that initial wave of product. There's no first edition designation or some kind of marking on the package to make these first wave boxes distinguishable from boxes that will come in further waves. There's no collectability to get this first wave product, as far as I know. Ravensburger has made it known that they intend to have this product in print for the foreseeable future. So these first wave boxes that are coming on August 18th, they're going to be entirely artificially high in price because of the tight supply on release. If you have to have the product now, it's okay for you to pay that higher market price. Just understand that I believe that this product, while having a high price on the initial release, by Christmas or perhaps first quarter of 24, these boxes will be readily available at MSRP or below. Because this product is so appealing to resellers right now, that actually multiplies the demand for this initial release by a large factor. My gut is telling me that the initial shortage, coupled with the appeal to resellers, is going to sharply spike the market price on this product for the 2-week release. When resellers get involved and it becomes appealing for them, that multiplies by a large factor. There's a spot in a curve on a chart where as soon as the market price reaches a level that it's profitable for a reseller to buy the product at MSRP and then resell it on a third-party platform at a profit, as soon as we hit that price, a huge number of resellers become willing buyers and the market price spikes drastically higher. That same is also true on the other side coming down. As soon as the market price starts to drift below the level where a reseller can buy it at MSRP and turn a profit reselling it, those resellers, they get out. They scatter just as fast as they came in, and that can cause the market price to crash even further without all those people there driving demand. This game will be MSRP or below in the near future. This product shortage, I hope, is a short-term issue. We'll see if Ravensburger can follow through and print enough to keep up with demand. The big question is how much of the demand is actually players who want to play the game, and how much of this demand is resellers just wanting to get in there and get their cut out of the deal. For this game to have lasting power as an organized play game that local stores can support, the product needs to be available to them to sell, and it needs to be available at a price that players are willing to pay. Some players will be willing to pay the higher market price right out of the gate because they just can't wait to get the cards. Hopefully, game stores will take some steps to try to ensure that the product gets into the hands of players and to make it difficult for resellers to capitalize on this product. Hopefully the reprint will come in time for Christmas, and if that happens, I hope the reprint is large enough that the game store who is supporting organized play has the product to sell. All right, so Lorcana resellers, Scalpers arbitrage. That's going to do it for this episode of the Game Industry Rundown. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you going to buy Lorcana right out of the gate, or are you going to wait for the next reprint? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, ring the bell. We'll have more videos coming in the near future, so we'll see you soon.